Pops, and I'm going to do a comic book review slash catch up with you. I'm going to talk about Scorched, the Scorched. Yeah, look, issues 1 through 6, I'm kind of caught up. I wanted to kind of go through a few of the high points and tell you some of the things that I like and don't like, or where I'm kind of at on it, because I really have been enjoying this new Spawn verse, this new era of comics that they're doing. And I will tell you that this has really not been an exception to that. Off the bat, obviously, I pulled this up because issues 3, 4, 5, and 6 are actually an homage to the original X-Men comic books done by Jim Lee and Chris Claremont. The beautiful puzzle cover. I'm like, I have to figure out how to get this into my collection somehow. So I will be on the prowl for catching up on some of the Spawnverse stuff because this stuff is actually just fun. And I'm at the point now where I'm like, listen, I've enjoyed this. I would enjoy reading them again. So I'm probably going to become more like a full run collector of these, just try to you know, get the first 10, then I'll, focus on the first 5, then get to 10, get to 15, whatever. And then, at some point, then I'll just sell them as a bundle for someone who wants to have the whole sets or the whole runs or something like that. That's kind of what I'm doing. That's in my brain, not there yet. We'll see how this kind of plays out because it's going to be kind of a fun search to go back through. And then I'll probably try to look at a few of the special books in this to kind of be, it's more like my investment books to kind of pay for all this. You find when you get one of those investment books, and then you can kind of flip that, and then I'll pay for you to get all this other stuff that may not be worth as much in the long haul. But it's a team book, right? So we have there in the center, you have she's Spawn leading a team. She's putting together this team. We don't really have a clear plan of what's been going on, who the antagonists are. We have antagonists for the moment, but not necessarily antagonists that have been revealed behind, who's sending someone. And you have everybody. You have Gunslinger Spawn, Medieval Spawn. You have, Al himself. So you have all this, and you really have just kind of a fun story that kind of works really, really well with them playing off one another. I think Sean Lewis is still just doing a great job. You have these two girls, and it kind of opens with an attack on where they are, and all of the spawns are basically in this melee against these soldiers. And reality is, they're going to cut through these people like nothing. And trust me, the book does not hold back any blood. It's not like we're going to suddenly be sensitive to this. So let me pull this graphic down. We don't need it for right now. So we don't need it for right now. So again, you can see the art is off the chain. And then we do get our look at like our plague spawn. And the art obviously it's fantastic. I have no complaints there. And you have great moments with each of them trying to figure out pieces of what their role is in all of this, right? What their role would be in this great conflict. There's plenty of green blood and ooze flying around. Them trying to piece things together on how each of them contribute and what their backstories will be that kind of helps them figure out, how these two girls matter, how Spawn can kind of keep a team going to make this worthwhile. Like, is it even worth their time, and how do they do that? And then you have sort of Al, who's really like the reluctant member, if any of them, in all of this. Like, you don't quite exactly know what's going on. And then later we get Plague Spawn. We kind of find out, what's going on there. And then, Al and Terry have a part of it. And I will say that I enjoyed the journey very much in these first couple issues. Like, it doesn't make me want to read more. I can say that, and I will say that some of these covers, they're just tremendous. Let me share this one screen here real quick so you guys can see this. I'll flip on over to that one, and you guys can just get a dose of just how good this one is. Now look at that. Yeah, let me take this one down. Look at that. So you have just great art. Doesn't matter if we're talking about Medieval Spawn, Redeemer. It doesn't matter what we're talking about. Everything is just done top notch. Anyway, so this is the Plague Spawn. This is the the villain of the moment. Steven Segovia is just doing a great job on all this art, making you want more. And you really do have this idea that you've got this Russian guy who injects himself with this. His name is Colonel Khrushchev, and it doesn't matter because he's got like this plague spawn. He's drawing out, and I thought very much like Venom. Obviously, they're really kind of going for a Venom character in a lot of ways, but then it's trying to play on the fact that this being that they're creating is kind of a derivative of the beings that it's fighting. So very much a parallel to Spider-Man and all of that. Um, and the spawns fail. I will say that too. That I think one of the things that made me like when we get into like issues like 3, part of what I'm enjoying is the fact that these are not like successful, like they are failing, and they have loss and they have tragedy and disaster. There's also a lot of horror with the some of the backstory that you get, which I do enjoy very much. And you sort of kind of have this like who is the good character in all of this? Who are we really going to be cheering for? And you can see it's vicious, it's bloody. This is Medieval Spawn decapitating someone, running through Plague Spawn. I mean, just beautiful work. Of course, lots of action, lots of stuff, going around craziness. Now, I saved this one panel. Um, and again, I know this is sort of like a nitpicky kind of moment, or for me to kind of to get to, but you kind of have to bear with me, right? We have to at least point about something, right? Because reality is, it does bother me. I can't stand that they do this for Redeemer. They make they make his speech bubbles into a cross. I hate that. I can't stand that part. Stop doing that. Wish they'd stop doing that. But you can see they're not going to hold back with action. You're not going to hold back of each character having their moments to shine. So the first 6 issues really kind of set up this injected, you know, soul crusher machine that's being run on anti-spawn and hellspawn serum. And sure, the Reaper's kind of like talking to them, trying to give them some advice and all that, but these machines are just like out of control, and it's nuts. And it was really cool how you sort of have all this. And reality is, I have to be honest, I really am sort of like disinterested and disappointed with how Al Simmons is handled, because he's still like this erratic hothead, not the military guy you would expect in the grand scheme of all of this. And I'm sort of over that. Like, I'm just not as interested in seeing that continue on. Um, and I got to be honest, this is part of the reason why uh, Gunslinger is so popular, why Gunslinger is so interesting, because he's Javier is this really consistent character, right? Anyway, let's see. But you have just great stuff, great conflict, great battles. This kind of like this reveal moment of what we're really dealing with here. We get the backstory of how this is going to kind of play out. We get more covers. There's a white cover. I think it's on. Make sure I look it up. Issue 5. Issue 6 has a black cover. So they have tons of different things depending on what you're into. The action is crazy. You have them fighting with each other, fighting with different things. You have green blood, blue blood. You have all sorts of stuff. And then, of course, the fact that they turn on their own is part of the subplot. Like, well, wait a minute. How do we know the what's what, right? And then you have this great battle. Obviously, Plague Spawn's not gone, but you also have this battle between the Vampire King, Blood, um, the Soul Crusher's part of things, right? But we also have this sort of like backstory of like, wait a minute, what's going on? So Blood is there with Haunt. Now, Haunt is a character that doesn't really kind of get a lot of love. I actually like Haunt. I think Haunt is actually kind of cool. But so you have this sort of Vampire King versus Haunt stuff that I thought was fine. So uh I don't know. What do you guys think? You guys interested in seeing more of a certain book, well, let me share this real quick because I want you to see. This is the other cover. This is the number 6 cover, the issue 6. This is the other part of that X-Men cover. This is issue 6. There's our black cover, and you can see here Steven Segovia, and you can see this is the fight that breaks down between Haunt and Blood. He's a vampire king, of course, and they're just going to town on one another, man. I love this. I thought this was great, great stuff. And then, of course, then you have this the Devourer thing showing up, and they're figuring out that it's dialed into something, but they don't get themselves sort of caught up into like they don't outthink themselves. Sometimes comic writers are trying to be so clever they can't get out of their own way, and I can't stand that. Um, I will say too that I like the idea that Al is very, very powerful, and they don't exactly know what to do with him, and he acts erratic, and it kind of ends with like a climax. Because you have this big battle thing with this creature thing, but then you also have the subplot of them fighting with each other, what's going on, and we do get what happens with Haunt and stuff like that. So anyway, that's my take on Scorched. I'm reading. I'm good. I'm going on 6 issues in. Keep on going. I don't know exactly how to balance. 'Cause I'm so far behind everybody. I don't know exactly how to balance the reading order on this. So if you guys have advice in the chat, I love that. I'm trying to go back and read King Spawn now, Gunslinger. I got to kind of ping around and bounce around and kind of keep it all straight. I don't have any major problems or anything like that, but I would like try to stay as close to continuity as I can. So anyway, that's my take on it. Thanks so much for watching. I'm Pops.